Following his victory over the Union of Maedhros in the Nirnaeth Arnoediad, Morgoth's armies swept through northern Beleriand, taking Himring and the Pass of Aglon, thereby forcing retreat upon the sons of Feanor, first towards Aman Ereb, then Osiriand, where they mingled with green elves, while Hithlum was given to Ulfang's Easterlings, under the pretense of generosity, which inevitably turned to cruelty when the region became an open-air prison cut off from the rest of the continent. Plundering Hithlum for all it was worth, captured elves were taken prisoner to Angband, while the humans of Dolomin were enslaved. Of the 3 human houses originally allied with the elves, only the severely weakened House of Haleth remained, hidden in the forest of Brethil, while most Noldor survivors made their way to the Falas, seeking protection from Lord Círdan, who continued his own war with Morgoth, sending ships to harass enemy forces along the coast. Yet even the great Sindar cities of Brithombar and Egladist could not withstand the might of the Dark Lord and were conquered in 473 FA. After the fall of the Falas, Lord Círdan, along with young Prince Gil-galad, son to King Orodreth of Nargothrond, led Sindar and Noldor survivors to the Isle of Balar, establishing a refuge for the elves of Beleriand. Gaining great swaths of territory in the north, Morgoth's remaining enemies, aside from southern refugees, included High King Turgon and the city of Gondolin, protected by the secrecy of their location, High King Thingol of Doriath, protected by the Girdle of Melian, a magic spell keeping them hidden from view, and the Kingdom of Nargothrond, protected by their strategic location. Other enemies, like the Green Elves of Osiriand, were a non-factor, as they refused to fight in the war, while the Dwarves of the Blue Mountains were largely surrounded and confined to their homes, having already lost much in their support for the Sons of Feanor. Seeking to overcome the last obstacles preventing his total conquest of Beleriand, Morgoth tortured Chieftain Hurin of the House of Hador, hoping to extract the location of Gondolin, but the courageous man never broke. Enraged, the Dark Lord laid a terrible curse upon his family before fixing him to the top of Thangorodrim so he could watch the downfall of his loved ones from afar. Used as a vessel for the curse, Hurin, son of Hurin, was a valiant, masterful warrior, always seeking to do right, but inevitably bringing death and disaster to everything he touched. Already suffering much by 489 FA, including the loss of his father, separation from his mother, and exile from Doriath, Hurin became chief to a band of outlaws, waging a guerrilla war against Morgoth's forces. Yet this too led to disaster when they were massacred in the sack of Barin Danwith. Taken captive, Hurin then accidentally killed his friend and rescuer Beleg Strongbow when he awoke, confused and disoriented. Reaching a point of utter despair, Hurin was found by the noble Prince Gwyndor, who brought him to Nargothrond. Yet even this act of kindness led to more misery when the elf maiden Finduelas, who was betrothed to Gwyndor, fell in love with Hurin, who did not return her affection, but nonetheless ruined their relationship and his friend's hope of happiness. Desperate to finally find his place and make a life for himself, Turgon became a royal advisor, convincing King Orodreth to build a great bridge across the river Narog so they might fight openly against Morgoth in the Battle of Tumhalad. Yet they were not prepared to face the fires of Glaurung, father of dragons, resulting in a triumphant victory for Morgoth's forces, followed by the sacking of Nargothrond and enslavement of its population. Though Turgon was purposely left alive, his advice led to the deaths of King Orodreth, Prince Gwyndor, and Princess Finduelas. The next major realm to fall was Doriath, yet Morgoth had no need of great armies to eliminate this threat, instead allowing the curse of Hurin to continue its path of destruction, releasing his prisoner, who after so many years of torture now held malice and corruption in his heart, poisoning everything he touched. First, Hurin sought refuge in Gondolin, but was denied entry out of fear he was a spy. Yet this, nevertheless, allowed Morgoth to learn the general location of the hidden city. Later, after learning his family was dead, he started a civil war in the House of Haleth, destroying the last of their people in Brethil. He then recovered the precious Nauglamir necklace from Nargothrond and gifted it to High King Thingol before finally ending his misery by casting himself into the sea. Yet even in this final act of kindness, the curse of Hurin struck, as Thingol decided to hire the dwarves of Nogrod to combine the Nauglamir necklace with the precious Silmaril he received from his daughter's husband, Beren. Overwhelmed by the beauty of the finished necklace, the dwarves demanded the item itself as payment, and killed High King Thingol when he refused. Invoking the wrath of the Sindar, the murderers fled back to their mountains without the treasure, but that did not comfort Queen Melian the Maya, who was so devastated by the loss of her husband, she left Beleriand entirely, returning to her homeland of Valinor in the west. When she departed, the Girdle of Melian collapsed, meaning Doriath's protection from outside forces was gone, allowing the dwarves to return with an army. Sacking the city of Menegroth in 502 FA, they slew the hero Mablung Heavyhand and stole the Nauglamir, only to be waylaid on their journey home by Beren and an army of green elves, seeking vengeance for their attack. Recovering the Silmaril necklace, Beren gave it to his wife Luthien, but when she died a year later, it was inherited by their son Dior, who succeeded his grandfather to become king of Doriath. Still bound by the Oath of Feanor spoken centuries earlier, the Sons of Feanor reluctantly tolerated that one of their Silmarils was held by High King Thingol and then his famous daughter Luthien, but would not allow it in the hands of yet another elf with no rightful claim. When Dior refused to give them the jewel, Celegorn rallied his brothers and their followers to march on Doriath, destroying the last Sindar kingdom of Beleriand in the second Kinslaying. Among the dead were King Dior and his wife Nimloth, along with their sons Elurin and Elured, as well as Celegorn, Curufin, and Carantir. Despite winning the battle, the Sons of Feanor failed in their mission, as King Dior's daughter Elwing fled with the Silmaril, robbing them of their prize. Leading survivors south, Elwing and her people sought refuge in the mouths of Sirion near the Isle of Balar. A special thanks to all those who contribute to CivilizationEx, like Commander Pete J. King, Delacruz the Freed, Sir Rick Lone, and Captain Marvel DMB MSC. If you'd like to help the channel, be sure to give a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and click on the links below, or else go to patreon.com/CivilizationEx, where you can gain early access to videos, vote on future content, and watch the Patreon-only series, Heroes of Lore and Legend.